Many of you took part in our japa retreat this weekend, and some of you may not have, but you certainly knew that that's what we were doing over here. And thank you for coming, both groups, for the Sunday program. So the topic is related to what we did this weekend, the chanting of Krishna's holy name. And the focus is Nama Prabhu, indicating that the name is a person. Sometimes there's this misunderstanding that if you chant very nicely, something over there like Krishna in his swarup, his spiritual form, will become revealed to you. It's not that that won't happen, but the main point is, within the name, the person is also present. Within the name, the qualities of Krishna are present. Within the name, the pastimes of Krishna are present. There's the sequence. Nama, Rupa, Guna, Lila. Oh, you go this way. No, that's right. Nama, Rupa, Guna, Lila, in sequence. The name reveals all those things, starting with Rupa, then Guna, then Lila. Here's a nice understanding. There's a description of Rupa Goswami's chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra in Vrindavan. And it took place at Radhakund. For some part of his days, he stayed at Radhakund, as did Sanatana Goswami. And from chanting, Rupa Goswami was absorbed. So absorbed that not only the form of Krishna and the qualities of Krishna, but the pastimes of Krishna were being revealed to him within his heart. And the particular pastime that was being revealed to him within his heart was a pastime that was an exchange between Krishna and the gopis, and something very funny was done and something very funny was said. Rupa Goswami, in his spiritual form, is Sri Rupa Manjari. Sri Rupa Manjari is an intimate Manjari associate serving Lalita Saki. So Rupa Goswami, in his spiritual identity, was experiencing this pastime while chanting, and it was very funny, and so he laughed. And as he laughed inside, his body also laughed outside, but he was in trance. But his body outside was laughing, and as he was laughing, experiencing a wonderful pastime of Radha and Krishna, there was an old Brahmin who was passing by, and lame, old and lame. And he saw and he heard Rupa Goswami laughing. And he wrongly thought Rupa Goswami is laughing at me because I can't walk properly. And he became very disturbed. Rupa Goswami is a saintly person. Why is he laughing at an old Brahmin? So he took his disturbed mind to Rupa Goswami's elder brother. You know who that is? Sanatana Goswami, right? Rupa Goswami's elder brother, Sanatana Goswami. The Brahmin shared what happened. And Sanatana Goswami was surprised and said, I'll get back to you and find out what happened. Later, Rupa Goswami came to visit his elder brother, and he explained what had happened from his perspective. I was chanting and so absorbed in chanting, this wonderful pastime was appearing in my mind. It was so wonderful, and just as the most joyous part of the pastime was happening, all of a sudden my meditation broke. So I tried to get back into that meditation, and I couldn't get back into that meditation. How to understand this? And Sanatana Goswami could understand it, because he heard from the Brahmin. And he said, while you were experiencing this pastime, and you were laughing because it was such a joyful pastime, the Brahmin, there was an elder invalid Brahmin who was passing by who thought you were laughing at him, and he took offense. And because of the offense, you couldn't, your meditation was broken, and you couldn't re-enter. So what you should do is you should find that Brahmin and explain to him what had happened, ask for his forgiveness, and surely he'll forgive you. He's a gentle Brahmin. So now Rupa Goswami understood, and he went back to the Brahmin, explained, and offered his profuse apology. It was not intended to make fun of you, but you felt that, so I'm very sorry that you felt that. And the Brahmin was, oh, I'm the offender. I shouldn't have thought that you could have done something like this. And so everything ended up very nice. So the lesson is in Bhakti Ratnakar, what I just described. And one lesson is, even unintentional offense to an elevated person can have serious consequences. It may make it difficult for you to concentrate and progress in devotional service. The other lesson is the chanting of the holy name has everything within it. It's better than a sutra. You know what a sutra is? Sutra, Vedanta Sutra. You've heard Vedanta Sutra? Sutra means like a little code, like very packed up, compressed, that has little sayings. And within those little sayings, the whole of the Vedas are encapsulated. That's a sutra. The holy name is even more compact than a sutra, because with the holy name is everything. Harir Nam Eva Kevalam. Within the holy name is everything. Within the holy name is the form of Krishna. The form of the holy name is the form of Krishna. And within the form of Krishna, the qualities of Krishna and the pastimes of Krishna. Not just a sound. It's a sound, but it's not just a sound. It's a spiritual sound that within which is everything, including the Supreme Person and His form. During our sharing, at the end of the 64-round day, many devotees chanted far more than 64 rounds. It was really awesome. There was some discussion about prayers. So here's Rupa Goswami reference. He wrote Ashtaka, 8 prayers to the holy name. And the first of those 8 prayers is a very nice one. And the image, as you see, there's lotus feet of a deity, and the lotus feet of the deity are on top of a lotus flower. Here's the first verse of his Namastaka. O Harinam, the tips of the toes of your lotus feet are constantly being worshipped by the glowing radiance emanating from the string of gems known as the Upanishads, the crown jewels of the Vedas. What are crown jewels? Sometimes kings have a treasury, and within the treasury there's their most valued jewels, called the crown jewels. So the Vedas, they also have their crown jewels. The crown jewels of the Vedas are the Upanishads, and the Upanishads have an effulgence, and the effulgence of the Upanishads are stretching and reaching towards the lotus feet of Krishna. Not just the lotus feet of Krishna, but the tips of the toes of the lotus feet of the holy name. I just went backwards from the end to the front. So the understanding is, not only the name has form, but the name has feet. Not only the name has feet, the name has toes. Not only the name has toes, but the name has tips of the toes. And the effulgence, glowing radiance emanating from the string of gems that are the crown jewels of the Vedas, the Upanishads, the effulgence of them are reaching to touch the tips of the toes of the lotus feet of the holy name. It's a very poetic, beautiful way of saying the holy name has form. The holy name is a person with form. Krishna, the absolute truth, has different features. The topmost of those features is Bhagavan, the personal feature, and the personal feature has form. And the holy name has form, with feet and toes. And one more time, the glowing radiance emanating from the crown jewels of the Vedas, the Upanishads, are stretching and reaching towards and worshipping the tips of the toes of the lotus feet of the holy name. The second half of that same verse, Namastika 1, you are eternally adored, the holy name, by liberated souls such as Narada and Shukadev. O Harinam, I take complete shelter of you. It's a reverential prayer, but it's also a very personal prayer. In one of Bhaktivinoda Thakur's songs, he writes, O Harinam, I fall at your feet. This is a song from Gitavali. Same message, following Rupa Goswami, is Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Here's the translation. There's 4 stanzas. All glories to the holy name of the Lord, the abode of immortal, transcendental bliss, the supreme absolute truth who possesses an eternal form of sacred syllables, has descended in the form of the holy name. Thereby, he shows mercy to his own devotees while showering boundless compassion upon the fallen souls. Then we'll say the mantra together, the refrain. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. There's 3 more. All glories to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is called by different names, such as Hari, Krishna, and Rama. He is the all-auspicious resting place of all living entities within the universe. And he delights the minds of all souls. Wise sages maintain great reverence for the holy name and constantly sing it by filling their mouths with the sound Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. 2 more. One song. This is Bengali, but this is just a translation. O Lord Krishna, in the form of sacred syllables, you possess all supreme powers and are engaged in bestowing pure auspiciousness upon the living beings. Without you, there is no other friend to rescue us from the ocean of material existence. You have come for the deliverance of all fallen souls. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare. For all souls within this world, there is much misery and sorrow. O Harinam, if someone calls upon you just once, feeling himself very meek and lowly, possessing nothing, and seeing no other remedy for his relief, you then easily destroy all his sorrows. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. There's actually one more stanza. If one simply obtains a faint glimpse of your actual identity, then all sorts of terrible miseries are cast far away. Indeed, the very form of suffering itself is easily broken to pieces. Bhakti Vinod says, all glories to the holy name of Lord Hari, O Harinam. I perpetually fall on the ground in hope of attaining your lotus feet. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. So that's a song from Gitavali. Gitavali means a string, vali, a string of songs. So he has many songs. And this is his Namastaka group of songs, number 6, where he prays, O Lord, you possess 2 transcendental forms properly called Vacha, that which is nameable, and Vachaka, that which denotes. So similar to Nama and Nami, same understanding. Are you with me? It's Sanskrit terms, so new people may have a little trouble with some Sanskrit terms. No problem. Okay. Good. Nama, Nami, that's easy. Name and the object named. Nama, Nami. So similarly, Vacha is the object or that which is nameable, and Nami or Vachaka, that which denotes the object. The Vacha is your beautiful personal bodily form of transcendental knowledge and bliss. That's one of the 2. So you possess 2 transcendental forms. One of them is his spiritual form. The Vachaka forms, plural, are your holy names, such as Sri Krishna and so forth. Thus, appearing in the form of transcendental sound, you are the resting place for the bliss of all souls. Very similar phrase as the other song. Your unlimited manifestations are found in these 2 forms. Taking pity and being very kind, they confer upon the fallen soul's entrance into your divine pastimes. Now they're the same, but he's now going to say one is more merciful than the other. Therefore superior, superlative. Of these 2 forms of yours, O Lord, I have understood your Vachaka form to be even more merciful than your Vacha form. Thus do I find your holy name most wonderful. So we've been spending some time with chanting. I mean, for those of you that didn't participate with us, please appreciate some devotees were up at 1 o'clock in the morning, and some were up at 3 o'clock in the morning, and they were really focused on chanting the holy name and chanting for hours. 5 hours, 6 hours, more than 6 hours, many hours of just one thing. And finding joy, not finding it's boring or distracting or something. So there's a taste. What these prayers are saying, the bliss of all souls, there's something to it. Experientially, it's not just a great sadhu somewhere in the previous history, but it's our current person seated in the room here with you, that they're able to access that transcendental potency feature of Krishna's name. Now we'll come down a little bit. Bhagavad Gita. As you all know, Bhagavad Gita is 18 chapters. It's one way of describing what Bhagavad Gita is. It's a study of the yoga system. And there are different yoga systems described in the Bhagavad Gita. Sankhya Yoga, Karma Yoga, Gyan Yoga, Dhyan Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, etc. So in chapter 6 of Bhagavad Gita, it's describing the eightfold yoga system, Ashtanga yoga system. The title of the chapter is just one of those 8, Dhyan, that means meditation. And you see on the right margin here, there's a series of verses where after the process of Ashtanga Yoga is described, the mature stage of Ashtanga Yoga is spelled out in detail. It's samadhi. We talked about that this weekend with a different Sanskrit term, but essentially the same. What's samadhi? Samadhi is where the mind is so absorbed, there's nothing else. The mind is so absorbed. It's not that one is dull, but so absorbed that there's nothing distracting the mind. And in that chapter, in the purport of that verse, listen, I invite you to read it. Many of you, if not all of you, have Bhagavad Gita in your home. Read Prabhupada's purport, the first 2 paragraphs, and you'll find the following. The foremost authority in the yoga system, historically, is Patanjali. And he wrote a book, Patanjali Yoga Sutras. And in the Patanjali Yoga Sutras, he describes this stage of samadhi in a certain Sanskrit terminology, which we covered a little bit during this weekend. And in that short purport, 2 paragraphs, Prabhupada explains the process of chanting, even in the preliminary stages, takes one to that stage, has the potency to carry one to that stage of samadhi. So those of you that know a little bit about Lord Chaitanya, he gave 8 teachings, Shikshastaka. Shiksha means instructions, and Ashtaka means 8. And the first one of them starts, Cheta Darpana Marjanam. Cheta Darpana Marjanam. Cheta means consciousness. Darpana is the mind, and Marjanam means cleansing. Cheta Darpana Marjanam. The mirror of the mind becomes cleansed. Chant and find out. It's what happens. Cheta Darpana Marjanam. And as the mirror of the mind becomes cleansed, the next line is Bhava Mahadavagni Nirvapanam. Bhava means, it's a different word than bhava. Bhava means material existence. Mahadavagni means a big blazing forest fire. Agni is fire. Mahadavagni is a big blazing forest fire. Bhava Mahadavagni Nirvapanam. It extinguishes the second stage. It extinguishes the blazing fire of material existence. In the Patanjali Yoga system and in Buddhism, that's called Nirvana. Anyone here not familiar with that phrase, nirvana? Nirvana means, literally, although Buddha rejected the Vedas, it's a Sanskrit term from the Vedas. And nirvana means cessation of material existence. Cessation of material existence. If you want to become a successful Buddhist, that's your target, is nirvana. And in that purport, Prabhupada explains that stage of nirvana is achieved from the first two effects of chanting of the holy name. Bhava Mahadavagni is nirvana, cessation of material existence. Then what? Well, if you're a Buddhist, when you cease material existence, then what means nirvana? You stop existing. Void. Or nada, if you're Spanish. Zippo, in the vernacular. There's nothing. Nothingness. Nirvana. That's the goal. And read carefully that purport. Prabhupada explains that the equivalent in Sanskrit language is mukti, and mukti is defined in the Srimad Bhagavatam in this terminology here. Svarupena vyavastati. Muktir hitvanyata rupam svarupena. Swarupa, one's own spiritual form, vyavastati. Being permanently situated in your eternal spiritual form, Swarup. Swarupena vyavastati. The permanent situation of the form of the living entity. So what do you do? After nirvana, your spiritual life begins. You have a spiritual form and your spiritual activities in relation to the Supreme Spirit. Even after he gives up the changeable, gross and subtle material body, or bodies. A classic example, straight from Srimad Bhagavatam, is Narada Muni describing to his disciple Vyasadeva how he became Narada Muni in his previous life until he became Narada Muni. And in short, he was a nobody. He was the son of a maidservant who didn't even have a father or know who his father was. And his mother died when he was a little boy. But he fortunately had 4 months of association of great souls, Bhakti Vedantas, and they instructed him in spiritual practice. Little boy. And then after the rainy season they left, and then he continued practicing as they instructed him. And several things happened. He saw the personality of Godhead, and then poof, he disappeared. And then the Lord spoke to him, saying, "You're just a little boy. Normally I don't show myself to little boys, but I've shown myself to you because you're so sincere. You will not see me again for the rest of your life, but please continue for the rest of your life practicing like this. And by practicing like this, you'll achieve spiritual perfection." So the painting that you see here on the screen is Narada when he became very old and it was time to leave his body. When he left his body, immediately the form of Narada Muni appeared. Immediately. No, in the next moment, but immediately. The expression is as lightning and illumination occurs simultaneously. Not like lightning and thunder, but lightning and illumination. Immediately, he achieved his spiritual form of Narada. In Svarupena Vyavastati, thereafter he engaged in his spiritual activities beyond the stage of nirvana. So that's what chanting of the holy name is meant to bestow. Before the pandemic happened, I was invited to speak at Emory University in Atlanta. There's a bhakti club there. So they selected this topic. I was very surprised. Beyond Nirvana, the path of yoga. So the graphic illustrates there's this stairway leading into the sky going to who knows where, but the bhakti path takes one to Krishna. And if you're not on the bhakti path, it takes you to void, or the negation of material existence, cessation of material existence. Or here's another illustration. By the bhakti path, by the teaching of Bhagavad Gita and all of devotional service, one can achieve that place that's beyond nirvana. That's what the path of bhakti yoga is. And it begins with chanting. We had a little video clip of Prabhupada speaking exactly that point. It all begins, the Hare Krishna movement began, and is continuing simply on the strength of chanting, etc. But the etc. follows the seed, the chanting. So somebody might ask themselves, why? Why is this important? Why should I engage in these activities? This little girl needs to go somewhere. Whoever the mother or father of this little girl is, she's very restless, which is okay. Children can be restless, but not right in front of the speaker. Thank you. Oh, something that I very much appreciated some years ago. I was a college kid, and I very much appreciated many things about Krishna consciousness, but one of the things I particularly appreciated was that Prabhupada knew his audience, and his audience, us, young Western people, were trained to ask the why question. Now, not because my grandmother did it or because something, but why? Why did my grandmother do it? Why is this a tradition? Why is this to be valued? Why is this important? Why? So he would, knowing the audience, he would explain the why question, and he would even prod us to ask the why question. So why? Why is chanting important? Why is understanding that the holy name as a person important? Why is it important? Why is it important to me? Anyways, in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teaching, he gives what is colloquially called 7 excellences. This is the first verse. I already mentioned 2 parts. Chaita Darpana Marjanam, cleansing the mirror of the heart or mind. Bhava Mahadavagni Nirvapanam, extinguishing the blazing fire of material existence. Mahadavagni. And then later in that same section, same first Shikshastaka, he speaks of an ambudhi, or an ocean of ananda. Everyone wants to be happy. There isn't somebody that's not wanting to be happy. We're all wanting to be happy. So the holy name bestows upon the chanter access to this ocean, Anandam Buddhivardhanam. Ocean of Ananda. Take a plunge in the ocean of Ananda through chanting. When that ocean of Ananda is experienced, there's a nice teaching. This is again on the left side, that's Rupa Goswami, a drawing of Rupa Goswami. He described the stage of prema as a stage where it even derides the conception of liberation. Moksha, the guta, krit, derides even the conception of liberation. Now, I don't have it with me. I'm supposed to have it with me. Padyavali is a series of his prayers. Padyavali number 28. Well, essentially, he's unfortunately, I can't recite it for you from memory, and I don't have it in front of me. But it's essentially saying that there's such happiness, internal happiness, that awakens. It's within us already. We'll say it this way. Same message, but saying it in a different way. In the biography of Lord Chaitanya's life, there's a very nice saying. It's in Bengali. Nitya Siddha means, Siddhi means perfection. Nitya Siddha, eternal perfection. Nitya Siddha, Krishna Prema. This word prema means love, spiritual love from the spiritual position. It's within the heart of every living entity already. Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Sadhya means that's the goal of the practice of bhakti. Sadhya Kabunoi. How does it begin? Shravanadi, beginning with Shravana, hearing, and chanting, hearing and chanting, hearing and chanting. Shravanadi. Shuddha Chitte, consciousness becomes Shuddha, becomes purified. All the scriptures say. That's the statement. So when one experiences that, it takes some faith, because cleansing doesn't happen poof. It's not an instant transformation. It's a gradual transformation. Gradual transformation because we've been involved in matter for who can say how long. There's layers and layers and layers and layers and layers and layers and more layers of our material conditioning. So it takes some time to accumulate all that. It takes some time to cleanse it. But it happens. And when it happens, the happiness of Krishna Prema that's stored within comes out. That's what's in this Padyavali 28. So how is it done? This is a little summary of some of the things we discussed over the weekend. Anukulyena Krishnanushilanam. This is a phrase of Rupa Goswami explaining bhakti. It's a definition of bhakti, and keeping it really simple. Anukul means to accept. Accept those things that are pleasing to Krishna. Krishna Anushilana. Shilana means behavior, conduct, your personal life's activity. Shilana. And when you accept those things that are favorable and pleasing to Krishna, that's how it's done. So if you want to know what those things are that are favorable and pleasing to Krishna, read Bhagavad Gita and take part in the classes that are taking, I don't know all the details, but I'm sure there's many different varieties of online and in-person, etc., discussions in Bhagavad Gita. Learn directly from Krishna what's pleasing to him. It's there. And you align your life in that way, that's bhakti life. You stay in your position. You're a doctor or a lawyer or an engineer or an IT person or a student or a whatever you are, construction worker. There's some construction workers over here helping to build an ashram. So whatever your position is, you stay in that position. That doesn't mean giving those things up. You have your nature, you do what's your nature. And direct those things in such a way that Krishna is pleased. It's very simple. And how the heart is oriented is through chanting. So therefore the endeavor is the mood of service to the holy name. And from the mood of service to the holy name, it expands into your activities, your life, your family, your occupation, your social exchanges, how you spend money in the marketplace. It's all oriented towards what's pleasing to Krishna. when bhakti becomes awakened. And it becomes awakened by mercy. Kripa means mercy. But so there's mercy. I remember a few years ago visiting the Houston Temple when it was like a little, it was an old church, a little tiny wood frame building. And you see out here in the hall, there's a place where the deity was placed, because it's where the pulpit of the pastor of the church, that they couldn't maintain their congregation, so they sold it to us. And so over so many years, so many things have developed. So now it's the mercy of our founder Acharya that we have temples, and this temple in particular. And so we can all come together and worship the deity and chant the holy name and hear the teachings of the scripture, take Krishna prasadam, associate with sadhus, serve. Just this morning I was coming to the temple for the morning class. There was a family of 4. They live in the suburbs. I asked them if they came to attend the japa retreat. They say, no, we just come to the temple to do some service. 4 of them. Said, are you going to stay around for the japa retreat? No, we're going to go back and do some chanting at home. So it's a place where people can come and serve Krishna. I mean, you can serve Krishna anywhere. You don't need the temple to serve Krishna. But it's a place where that sangha and the opportunity is provided. That's this Prabhupada Kripa, the mercy. Then it also requires some endeavor on our part. What's the endeavor on our part? Endeavor executed with intelligence in Krishna consciousness is called utsaha, or enthusiasm. This verse from Bhagavad Gita 18:14, I hope you don't mind. It's like Sanskrit terms. So I'm not sure if it's meaningful to newer people. But here we go. Anyways, in Bhagavad Gita chapter 18, there's a description that there's 5 factors that are, for anything to happen, 5 factors are required. Of course, one of them is Ishwar, the Supreme. Without Ishwar, things don't happen. You need a place, you need instruments, you need an endeavor. So when mercy comes, there's some endeavor. Like you've endeavored to come here to the temple, and you're endeavoring to let me hurry up and finish this long-winded class. So there's some endeavor involved in any spiritual practice, in any material activity. Endeavor is required. In spiritual, endeavor is also required, connecting with mercy. And when that endeavor is executed with intelligence in Krishna consciousness, that's enthusiasm. When you are doing things that are meaningful, an intelligent person understands, I can't do it on my own. I need some mercy. So prayer is a call for mercy, and the prayer is to become a humble servant of Namaprabhu. That's when chanting. Notice I'm speaking a lot about Rupa Goswami because we're followers of Rupa Goswami, because he's the primary recipient, or one of the primary recipients of Lord Chaitanya's teachings on everything, on the whole of the science of bhakti. So here's a verse. I'm not going to go into it deeply because of time, but he is describing in the beginning that chanting of the holy name may not taste sweet. The holy name, character, pastimes, and activities of Krishna are all transcendently sweet, like sugar candy. Although the tongue of one afflicted by the jaundice of avidya cannot taste anything sweet, It is wonderful that simply by carefully chanting these sweet names every day, a natural relish awakens within his tongue, and the disease is gradually destroyed at the root. It's a poetic expression comparing the disease of jaundice to its cure. Has anyone here had jaundice? I had jaundice. And without the details, it was pretty miserable. I couldn't move. I was feverish. I had no appetite. And it was a very weird experience. My mind didn't work. Like I was told, for example, drink lots of water. So I was drinking lots of water. And when you drink lots of water, something biologically naturally happens. You have to go past water. So I'm lying in bed, feverish, understanding I got to go past water. I couldn't focus my mind enough to get up and walk across the room and pass water. I was scared. Where's this train going? And then I was told the medicine, that was in India, the medicine is this rock candy. And according to what the doctor said, I know what rock candy is. It's like concentrated sweet. But it tasted bitter. I had heard it, but when I tasted the rock candy, and it tasted really bitter, I was like, what? It's okay. Keep taking the rock candy. So I kept taking the rock candy. And slowly, slowly, the jaundiced condition became reduced. And the sweet taste was something, instead of tasting very bitter. This is a comparison to the chanting of the holy name. It may not taste sweet in the beginning, and it's because of the jaundice-like condition of avidya, or ignorance. So chanting helps remove ignorance. Even if you're ignorant, it helps remove ignorance. Even if you're not so ignorant, it helps remove whatever is left. But chanting is very, very effective. Last, Srila Prabhupada explained what's the meaning. It's very simple. It's a call to Krishna, please accept me. Lord Chaitanya taught that we should simply cry, and we shall simply pray for accepting us, that's all. So this vibration is simply a cry, addressing the Supreme Lord, requesting, please accept me. Please accept me. So that's the end. There's a few more slides, but I think this covers the topic where I wanted to expand a little bit on the holy name as a person. That's this Nama Prabhu message at the very beginning. And it's a notion initially, and one who initially does some chanting, they don't experience that the name and the person are the same. But it's a teaching of the scripture, and gradually, as the jaundice-like avidya becomes mitigated, and hearing from scripture and associating with devotees and going down that path of yoga, cleansing takes place and lifting of consciousness takes place simultaneously. And then many realizations are yours. So this has become a popular event, this japa retreat. We had to stop because of COVID. Lots of things stopped because of COVID. But if you didn't attend this one, please come next year and experience what some of the persons shared with us the first time they've done anything like this. And it was just a wonderful experience. And don't wait till next year. You can begin chanting right away. I understand that there's an online sangha, persons in this community, and I've recommended persons from Boston and Chicago and faraway places to join this call because it's very effective. So I'm speaking now to our newer people. Please consider chanting, and for the support to help you begin and regularly engage in chanting, join this call. And of course, always you can come to the temple and participate in the kirtan and the association of the devotees. Okay, it's 7 o'clock. The bell's ringing. Time for class to end. So let's see if there's some question or two. Do we have a mic?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Thank you so much for the nice class. I theoretically understand that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, and His holy name are non-different. But when you say Nama Prabhu the holy name has a form, is it same as Krishna's form?
It's a form in sound, which is the same, absolutely the same as the Satchit Ananda Vigraha form. It's a form in sound, non-different than the Satchit Ananda Vigraha form. Anything else? Okay. What's next on the schedule? Announcements.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you, Maharaj, for your wonderful class. We are grateful to Maharaj and the other speakers that have enlightened us over this weekend to teach us how to experience the taste of the holy name. We also would like to thank all the participants and all the volunteers who made it a successful and relishing experience for all of us. Our sponsors for today are Bhupender and Suraj Kataria in the memory of Ramlal Ladi, brother-in-law of Bhupender Kataria. Sunday will be his 13th day. They would like the kirtan to be done in his memory. Amarendra Prabhu is celebrating his 80th birthday as well.